on an article where one uncle said catcalling is not a bad thing. And you know that when it comes to catcalling, a lot of men argue that their comments were purely complimentary, while many women counter that walking up to a woman to tell her she's beautiful is one thing, but shouting, "Hey, sexy," "damn," "whee, whee," is a whole other ball game. A lot of men still disagree, while some women don't really mind. So I'm here to answer the question, can a catcall be a compliment, or are women just overreacting? According to Oxford, a compliment is both a polite expression of praise or admiration and an act or circumstance that implies respect or praise, emphasis on polite and respect. While a catcall here is a shout, whistle, or comment, usually of a sexual nature, mostly made towards women, it is classified as a form of street harassment. Children, especially girls, start to deal with harassment from an early age. And you know, you're taught not to talk back at people who are older than you, and your initial harassers usually are. You're socialized to stay quiet, even in uncomfortable positions or uncomfortable situations, so as not to infuriate the harasser or be rude to an older person. As teenage girls, we teach each other the art of ignoring harassers. If you hear "S," don't turn. If there are plenty boys, put on an earpiece or pretend to be on a phone call. If you have a big bum, use your school bag to cover it as you walk home. Even if they touch your boobs or insult you, pretend to be unfazed and keep moving. It's hard to unlearn this as an adult, and even when you have the nerve to tell someone harassing you to stop, you're likely to face negative consequences. At best, he'll insult you and leave, but it could be worse. Some time ago, a non-profit anti-street harassment organization released a video that featured a conventionally moderate attractive woman wearing jeans and a t-shirt and walking in silence while someone walked in front of her with a camera and picked up over 100 nuances of street harassment. The comments on YouTube by men who justified this was that her jeans was tight, and others said she was being complimented for having a good figure. Another argument is that since when did "how are you," "fine girl, how far now" become harassment? The harassment is in the intent. A woman doesn't believe that you really want to know how she is by shouting it at her as she walks by you on the streets. Now let's look at Sean McBride's article on why catcalling is not a bad thing. In his article, he says that he gets catcalled a lot by women simply because of the kinds of suit he wears and his dress sense. He says it's not imposing at all to catcall, and that he has actually been catcalled by some people and they got into conversations and, eventually became friends. He says that we should stop adding our judgments to these kinds of things because other people's values and actions might not be wrong simply because we perceive them to be. And then he finally adds that a key thing to catcalling is that the recipient is always in control. Not once did he mention that he felt unsafe or uncomfortable, which is the case for many women, that a stranger who is stronger than you are is yelling at you or enclosing your personal space and may harm you. His point about not attaching your judgments counters his argument, because it is you who wants to catcall that should consider if I have the same values as you or if I would be interested and stop, not the other way around. And generally, women as the recipients do not usually feel in control of the situation, and those who try to take control of it by stating their disinterest get further harassed or insulted. It is true that some women feel flattered by unwarranted comments from men, and those responses are valid, but according to studies done by many organizations on the emotional response to catcalling and a survey carried out by myself, those women are the minority. Majority describe this as uncomfortable and embarrassing. If you want to foster a relationship with me, you won't make rude remarks or call from afar, and even when you come closer and I decline, you back off. No one is saying you can't say hi to a girl on the streets, but we're saying a compliment has to be polite and respectful. It has to make someone feel good. While harassment is derogatory, it brings embarrassment and makes the other person or the recipient uncomfortable. So come closer, smile and say hi. If she barely responds, frowns or ignores you, assume she's not interested and let her be. Be polite. Telling me how slim girls are said to be good in is not a compliment. And telling a girl how her bum looks in a skirt is considered harassment by a lot of women. Don't demand anything in return. Don't demand that I have to respond. If I do respond, don't demand that I must give you my number. We're human beings. We deserve basic human respect. And for God's sake, listen to us. If we say we aren't flattered, then and we are not flattered. Catcalling is a sign of a rough and rude upbringing. It's rude, it's embarrassing, it's scary, it's invasive, it promotes rape culture, and it sexualizes women's bodies. Catcalling is a form of harassment and degradation. It is unacceptable. I leave you with these messages that both men and women had for catcalls.